Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the workshop meeting of the City Griffin Board of Commissioners, July 23, 2024. We're glad to have everybody here. We'll begin with a presentation of the status of the new Griffin Spalding Airport. Dr. Randy Peters, Griffin Spalding County Airport Authority, and a representative from Troy Engineering. We're welcome. Glad to have y'all today.
All right. Yeah, okay. Well, good morning, everyone, and it's my pleasure to be here this morning to give you a status update. I'm going to grab this mic so I can fully refer to the presentation that we have over here. So you guys will put that up. And just by way of a quick introduction, I'm Dr. Randy Peters. I have been in Griffin since October of 2010 when I came to Griffin to be the president of Southern Crescent Technical College. And I retired from the state government the last day of 2016. In 2017, in January, I was appointed to the Air Force. And by September, I was appointed as chairman. So this goes on a ways. But with me today is also Michael Carter. Michael is the vice president for Troy Engineering, who is our engineering consultant company that is doing most of the heavy lifting for us, all the engineering. But they fight the dragon every day too, and the dragon being the state and federal government bureaucracy to get everything done, because it's not just a simple. Whoops, are we at the end here? That's fake me out. All right, now we're at the beginning. The first question that I usually get about the airport is, why are we building a new airport? And I think all of the members here have a printed copy of this presentation up ahead of you. But if you will look at that first picture, there's a yellow object in front, right there. Now imagine that you're in a small aircraft and you're getting ready to land on runway 32 there in Griffin at 6 altitude, and you're coming in to land, and there's a sudden downdraft, or maybe your engine sputters a little bit and you drop. Well, that right there is a power pole, just on this side of Hill Street, and it lines up almost perfectly with the center line of our existing runway. That's ungood if you're in an airplane and you have an issue. Also, at the same end of the airport, if you look over here, we were flying over here going that way in the last picture. Now here's the runway in the other end, we're facing the opposite way. Inside that red trapezoid should be a nice little meadow of grass and nothing more. It's called a runway protection zone, and it's there to protect the runway for the elevations coming in and out of the runway, but it's also there so that if an aircraft taking off has an issue, it doesn't run into something. We have had that happen already in the past. DC-4 into the Rosa Shopping Center killed the pilot and the co-pilot both. And you also see the apartment complex, First National Bank, and Rosa. On the other end, and I guess I should, for those who are not aviators or not familiar, the runways are named for the compass direction that you're heading. So we were looking at runway 32 a minute ago. That means the compass heading of 320, and now we're looking at the other end, which is compass heading 140. So runway 14. This is the other end, the other RPZ overbuilt. Again, it should be an open meadow in the most ideal circumstance. So that's why. And oh, by the way, in my own estimation, and many of the people that I've talked to, when we get this new airport done, it's going to be the goose that lays the golden egg in terms of economic development for this entire area. The 2020 study by GDOT showed our little runway that we have here, 6 altitude presently, generated $24.7 million in annual economic impact with the businesses that we have out at the airport. And then it ranges from aircraft painting to installing and testing avionics equipment and aircraft interiors, engine repairs, all that. $24.7 million every year. So that's a good incentive to get bigger, better, and faster air. Now this one is an eye chart. You're not going to be able to read it. I get that. But this is a timeline. It goes back down from 2005 to current date. And all these blocks are things that have occurred in the development of the airport. And I'll just call your attention to a couple of those. And that is the first land acquisition began in 2016. We had to re-justify our airport, and that came up to here. A new approval of a 5,000 feet by 75 feet wide new runway. But probably the most exciting thing is in the last legislative session, the state appropriated $47.2 million for the construction of this airport. And really simultaneously, we had approved about $8.5 million from the federal government in a congressional spending package for it, expressly for the building of the airport. And that's where we are right now. The money is here. Unfortunately, as I said, slaying the dragon bureaucracy takes a little longer. I'm going to let Michael pick this up here and give you some of the technical aspects, locating and all that sort of thing, and why we're putting it where we are.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Here's a location map of the new runway, and it's just east of the city, close to the Twin City and 75. And one of the main pickups that you need to, or that's the best thing about the airport is, along 75 between Macon and Atlanta, it's us. That's the only airport that's going to be there. So the economic growth is going to occur along 75, as Dr. Peters said. This is going to be an opportunity, and the area of regional impact that's looked at the airport, or with this airport, is that 5 counties right there. It's Spalding, Butts, Pike, Lamar, and hence those are the new 5 counties of the will be newly formed regional airport authority. Here's the actual location just east of the city, which shows the light blue line is the phase 1 land acquisition with the property, and the red line, triple lines, is to the northwest of the field. That is where Georgia Transmission, Georgia Power Line is located, because where it's currently at, it literally bisects the runway. So that, along with Atlanta Gas Light, they have parallel transmission infrastructure right there. And it's all going to be relocated as a portion of this. The Georgia Transmission, Georgia Power, the overhead stuff is going, up northwest or north of 165 and coming back around the airfield. And the reason it has to get that far out is because of the approaches. Those approaches have to be protected all the way from the threshold, and they climb out typically at a 34-to-1 ratio. Here's a heat map of the actual project itself. It shows the grading that's got to happen out there. The red areas are areas that are areas of cut that you got to remove soil from, and the big purple bluish area is where it's all got to go. That's all field. We've got about 50 feet of field that's got to be placed in this area, and about the same amount of cut that has to be done on the red areas. So in total, there's about 4 million cubic yards of material that's got to be used that year. So this is a major project. And also, along with this this, we've got about 7,000 to 9,000 feet of stream, Cabin Creek and tributaries that we have to mitigate as part of this project. Here's the current, or a short version of the current schedule where we're at right now. Pretty much the first 5 things on here: the utility relocation, land acquisition phase 2, survey, demolition and permitting. That is all about to start here in the next couple of months. Actually, all of these tasks have scope and fees sitting at GDOT, have been either reviewed or approved by GDOT already. And we anticipate a notice to proceed on the grant in the first part of the third quarter. Let's see, the design portion of it starts right here is this first quarter of 2025, construction starting the third quarter of 2026, got project finishing up first quarter in 2030. As far as the land acquisition portion goes, currently we have about almost 200 acres of land, so we've got to acquire about 350 more associated with this project just for the phase 1. Phase 1 total is about 550 acres, and also we need another 50 acres of easements on each end, and that's strictly to protect those approaches coming down the line. Build out of the project, full expansion all the way to 6,000 feet, which will happen in the future. We'll have to acquire about another 180 acres of fee simple and another 127 acres for the eastern. Total area of that 730 acres total left there. And here is the longer version of the project timeline. And the reason it's too busy to read, obviously, we've got a big printout over here if somebody wanted to go look at it. But the main point that I wanted to show is there is lots of stuff happening concurrently to make this project happen in the next 5 years. I mean, all of what I mentioned a while ago, the utility relocation, land acquisition, survey, demo, permitting, all of that is stacked up right there at 24, 25, and starting construction in that 26, 27 time frame. And project, everything goes as planned. We should be landing planes there first part of 2030. And I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Peters to talk about the funding.
Thank you, Michael. That big chart that he just showed, we say this is where the devil lives, as in the devil is in the details. That's not even an eye chart. You can't even test your eyes on that thing. So we do have, as Michael said, we have a paper copy over there of the first half of it. It would be probably another one and maybe another half pieces of paper that big, and it's still print out about this big. It's still an eye chart where you can see all of the sub pieces that are going to be required to do that. But this is the part I'm sure you're most interested in. When this project started in about 2006 or so, it was estimated a new airport would cost about $60 million, give or take. The time value of money, which I'm sure you're all aware of, we are now at a bottom line of about 121 million. And I think that's conservative because until we can actually see prices out the door of all of the things that we have to have, those prices go up every day. I told the Lieutenant Governor in a meeting that I have 2 issues, and they're the same issue: time and money. The more time it takes, the more money it takes. So every day we delay costs more money. But right now, as Michael said, we're well started on the front end of this. So we're making tracks here. To read this chart, you'll notice that the top layer is in green, That's money that we have already spent. Okay? Um, and interestingly, for you, for your purposes, I think, because the city, the county, and the airport authority are three sponsors of this airport. We're all in it together. But that 8 mil or so there has already been spent. The community project funding that I mentioned before, Representative Ferguson put in our budget, 8.5 million. The state is kicking in 47, and those two events generated a meeting with the FAA, who went on record for the very first time of saying, yeah, we're going to give you another 40 million, 10 million a year from the federal government, from the FAA. They had always said, yeah, if you get to a certain point, we will kick in, but they never said what they were going to do. But they're now on record, in writing, for another 40 million. So the project is funded at the present level. And of course, that, as I said, that time value is really the kicker in all of this. The longer it takes, the more it costs. So we're trying to get this as quickly as possible. The chart that Michael showed you, we're trying to stack and do as many things simultaneously as possible. Particularly when it's bureaucratic kind of things, moving paperwork. We move a lot of paperwork at the same time, and that's what we're doing. This is what the initial layout will look like. We are approved for 4,400 feet to be paid for by the federal government. GDOT is on record for paying for the last 600 feet to make a 5,000-foot runway. That's a significant number in aviation, because that's the minimum that insurance companies want to have on the ground to put airplanes on. Not that you cannot land an airplane or take it off in a shorter runway, but for insurance purposes, they want 5,000. So that's what we're approved for right now, 75 feet wide and 5,000. We are designing it to 6,000, because at 5,000, we can get about 85, 87% of all the business jets in the world on that airport. At 6,000 feet, we can get every business jet known right now in our airport. And that's where the golden egg comes. But as you see, we have runway, aprons, parking spaces, all of that. The green there is environmentally sensitive areas that has to be protected. We're not allowed to disturb that. But I want to compare just real quickly the existing airport to what we're planning here. The runway length presently we have is 3,700 feet, but you may not have noticed in that picture I showed you of the runway, there were some markings at the end of it. We've got a displaced threshold of 200 feet on each end. So we effectively have about 3,300 that we can use because of those obstructions that we have. So 3,700 versus 5,000. We presently have 56 hangars that generates that 24 million that I talked about. There will be 72 at the new airport acreage. You see there what the difference will be. Now, Michael also talked about the ultimate build-out. We expect, once we start digging dirt and moving that 4 million cubic yards and cutting down trees, all the things that have to happen to build this, we think there are going to be other aviation interests that are going to come up and say, hey, have you got room for me to build another hangar? Have you got room for me to park my express jet aircraft here that I don't have room for up north at the existing airports anymore? Can you help us do our business at your airport? So we're planning for a total of 6,000 feet, 124 hangars, and about 730 acres all told. And that would be the ultimate build out. We would not see, except for extraordinary circumstances, we would not see that getting bigger. And in a nutshell, that's as quick as we can give you the down and dirty. As I said, that one big chart that, you can't even read it. It's got so many things on it. It takes a computer just to keep them from bumping into each other. But that's all I have for you this morning. We do have the exhibit over there. If you have any questions, I'll answer them now.
Any questions from board members? No. So I do want to, we give thanks to Senator Ferguson, but also want to give thanks for Senator Ossoff and Warnock. They signed off on the Senate side, so without their support, Madiak and Representative Beth Camp. That whole group of folks just were, they just happened. So it's a great Griffin day from where we were, say, 12 months ago in terms of this, the efforts that you and the authority are doing. Very appreciative.
Once the money was approved, we're able to break a lot of things to get it started. I'm frustrated. I told the mayor, before I was frustrated because I had a good plan, but didn't have any money. It hasn't happened. Now I've got a good plan and I got the money. It's still nothing has happened that you can go look at it on the ground. But very quickly we will start doing the demolition of the properties that we own, getting rid of. And again, there's a lot that goes into it. Undoubtedly, some of those older buildings have asbestos. They have lead paint. There are septic tanks in there and all of that. All of that has to be environmentally surveyed before we can start doing demolition. But we're doing all that.
And then the great plan will be redevelopment of the existing 180 acres. How do we turn that into something that's a benefit for a city, whether it's a moving production company, redevelopment, shopping, housing.
Yeah,
right,
the FAA has financial interest in our existing airport because they've spent money over the years on our airport. But once we have the new one, that financial interest moves to the new airport, and we will own lock, stock, and barrel the 6,002 to do with as we choose. So we will sell that at whatever market rate we can get for it at that point, for whatever purpose it's in.
Well, Michael, thank you for coming all the way down here. Appreciate Troy's service over the past, almost 8 or 9 years. Randy, Dr. Peters, thank you for you and your team.
It's not good.
Mayor, can you have Dr. Peters address one more, Luma?
Yes.
Will there be any passenger jets at this point?
A good question. No, categorically no. We're not doing any passenger service, such as you would find in maybe Augusta or Columbus, or certainly not anything like I would say that we are hoping that somebody might land one of those jet express kind of places that might have a commuter possibility to pick up somebody here and take them somewhere. But no scheduled passenger service whatsoever.
Any final questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Item 2 is the presentation of recently formed specialized units of the Griffin Police Department. Captain John Hayes will address. We're glad to have all of our men and women in blue here today. Thank you all for your service.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Hope everybody's doing well this morning. I'm honored to be here before you today, to be the one that's presenting you the 3 units of the police department. I've been with Griffin almost 23 years, and if you see us being able to provide more resources to the community, such as the 3 units, it's great. It's definitely pushing us towards the future of what we do anyway. And I'm pretty excited about what they're going to be able to accomplish. We'll start off this morning. The hierarchy chart, the organizational chart, it lists the units up underneath. Traffic unit is under Uniform Patrol Division. Field investigation team is currently assigned to investigation services, and the COP unit. And I'm going to start off this morning with the traffic unit. I'm going to kind of give you just a little bit of an idea as to what they are assigned. Not technically savvy. I apologize. Traffic unit is made up of 5 officers, including 1 sergeant, 1 supervisor. Supervisor is Sergeant Todd Howard. I've known Todd forever. He's a great supervisor. He's worked in investigation within the police department. Sergeant Howard responds directly and reports directly to Six-Ons and Captain Jones. So I'm going to call them up so you can meet everyone. Figure everybody can be on the spot today. Responsibilities of the Uniform Patrol Division are very
Before we can really go into all these units, I do want to say this. Even though these officers are assigned specialized units in criminal investigation division, we are all police officers first. This is a secondary thing. We're all required to respond to calls and assist as necessary. So I'm going to introduce Sergeant Tyler Howard and let him bring in introduce the rest of these units. Good morning, y'all. Starting off with the right with NCO Scott Sierra, this is Solomon Michael Jr., so Iowa Hopper, Solomon David, our entire.
Okay.
So as you can see on the PowerPoint, they would do strategy. The intent of these strategy unit was not just to go out and fight crime. It's to focus in on where the biggest problems are going on in the city. They're not have pedestrian accidents or vehicle accidents and such as that. Get a study of it and report them as necessary to reduce the crime, reduce the traffic, as far as out there, reduce the speed. Also training. We never talk to you about not being distracted while you're driving, off your cell phone. We want to take a two-stand approach to how we deal with things with TV. Not everything needs to be a heavy hand. I think a lot of education needs to go into it, and it's the focal point of what we're trying to do for in the future with the new direction. They actually have a support, they provide security for city court, they provide security for the meetings that occur here. Sergeant Howard must be legal by parking lots going on. He actually observed that he was doing smash the road or something. Conduct an investigation that utilized that stolen example, and he was still loaded down first. So these units are working. So just a little bit of going out, finding areas, having cities, so any questions that you might have with the traffic unit?
Thank you.
The next unit I want to talk to you about is the field investigation team, also known as FIT. 5 officers assigned to that. Sergeant Clark is the supervisor over that unit. Sometimes forever before you actually came to. Really good group of officers. Field investigation team. Those same thing kind of set up like the traffic unit, education, officer presence, getting out into the community, talking to them, focusing on gang problems that we've been knowing to have. Helping us to see, I think, when we need assistance to not complete manpower and uniform patrol, assist us, their strategy. Anybody that needs help, they're there for you. They're more focused in on specialized crimes for like drug trafficking, human trafficking, vice. But once again, we're not going to get away from the education part. They're into the schools, talking to the kids, and trying to get people for the gangs and quiet. Sergeant Clark, so this offer, Griffin Draw, officer Phil, Josh Thompson, and officer Brett. The questions please. Welcome.
Welcome.
And last and definitely not least, still unit outreach. This unit is something we've been talking about for a long time. It's something that we've needed for a very long time. I'm glad that we're able to get this going. Lieutenant Walden is the supervisor over the COP unit. Everybody knows Jeff. Jeff's been here. I knew Jeff when I started here. He was already here and teaching me things. And so you can see that it's the same atmosphere there. You believe keeping officers and they can provide in the community. I think everybody. They have. I didn't list every community event they have done, but we probably spend the entire day about all the stuff this is an excellent program. Playing backpack with kids, going to school, just going out into the community. Doesn't even have to be a designated event. Getting out of the car, talking to people, kids in the playground, at the gyms, in the streets. I really can't say that. This is what it is. It's awesome. Think what it is. And they never complain. There's no obliging. Time to think that. They want to step up. I wanted to bring them up here to introduce them to you is because it's not necessarily just units, it's the quality of the officers that now getting that are in these units. And I think that's very important. For a while, we know it's always about trying to hurry up, fill the spots, hire. It's not about quantity, it's about quality. Because that's what you're putting out. And these officers, even a great reflection of us, the government. So we wanted to take a different stance and going into a different direction to actually start recruiting quality. These officers, these units are fairly new. They still have quite a bit of training to go through, but the training never ends because more training we provide, that's better product we can put on the street, which is better for everybody. So that pretty much concludes my presentation. I'm sorry I'm a little under the weather today, but any questions I have, I appreciate you allowing me to present these issues.
Captain Hayes, we know y'all are the sheepdogs fighting for us every day out there protecting the flock, and we're here for you and support you, and we appreciate every one of you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, what you do for us.
Thank you. Thank you for y'all time.
Okay, I want to say something.
Yes, ma'am.
I just like to say kudos to the whole city of Griffin Police Department. I had witnessed an incident over on 19th Street, and they handled it real well, very professional. I know every situation that may not turn out that way, but they did an excellent job. I watched the whole thing. Everybody was able to go back home to their family. That's what I love to see. And I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. It means a lot to us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And Mayor, just so
Yes,
that you all know, Chief Simpson and Chief Daniel are actually up in Savannah this weekend for this week at the Georgia Association of Chiefs of Police Conference. In 2 days.
Anything else, Mrs. O'Connor, before we go into executive session?
The one thing I will say is that as far as the COP unit, there may only be 2 in the unit, but all of them operate that way. So we have 86 officers that are performing for our community. That's why they are here. So I appreciate them. I think they know that at this point. I'm glad to see some of them here just in support of their other specialized units. So it's definitely a completely different agency than it was a year ago, which is a very good thing.
And we should have the new precinct office open
Around
of September this year, so that's exciting news. And I saw our last monthly report. I think we're down 1 officer right now in the department, so plus or minus, but that's better than 10 or 12 like we were running 12 months ago. Congratulations to you and your team. All right, well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. At this time, we are pursuant to OCGA 501421 for purpose of consulting and meeting with legal counsel pertaining to pending potential litigation, settlement, claims, administrative proceedings, and other judicial actions brought on or to be brought by or against the agency or the officer or employees or in which the agency or any officer or employer may be directly involved pursuant to OCGA Section 15143B2 for the purpose of discussing or deliberating upon appointment, employment, compensation, hiring, disciplinary action or dismissal, or periodic evaluation or rating of public officer or employee, and pursuant to OCGA Section 50143B1B for the purpose of authorizing negotiations to purchase, dispose of, or lease property. Do we have a motion to go into executive session? Commissioner Ward with a motion, second by Commissioner Murray. All in favor? Please join us in the rear.
Recording in progress.
All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn our workshop this morning? Commissioner Wright with a motion. Second by Commissioner Curtis. All in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. We're done. Thank y'all.